Detroit's automotive sector relies heavily on Japanese manufacturers. With industry giants like Toyota and Subaru, these companies collectively sustain around 500,000 jobs and drive an impressive $170 billion in sales across the United States. However, a looming shadow hangs over this success, a potential 25% national security tariff proposed by the White House on these vehicles. Should this tax take effect, the ramifications would ripple far beyond just increasing sticker prices at local dealerships. The entire supply chain, from seat factories in Ohio to steel mills in Alabama, could face significant disruptions. As Washington bets on this drastic move, the stakes are high. Who stands to gain, and who is destined to lose in this clash of economic titans? Join us as we explore the complexities of this critical moment in history. The discussion surrounding a 25% tariff has shifted from a mere abstract debate to a contentious examination of its potential impact on the economy. Minutes from talks between Washington and Tokyo in late 2024 revealed tension not only in diplomatic circles but also among the myriad supply chains threading through the nation, from the bustling automotive plants in Detroit to assembly lines in Texas, stretching even to the rural landscapes of Kentucky. Analysts are pondering the very real consequences that could unfold if the proposed tariff is enacted under Section 232, which argues that importation of certain vehicles threatens national security. Investment bankers scramble for answers during morning briefings, while union leaders gather for discussions. All contemplating the potential withdrawal or drastic reduction in operations by the 7 major Japanese automakers, Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Subaru, Mazda, Mitsubishi, and Suzuki. The burning question is clear: what would be the fallout? Just how many jobs might evaporate, and how will this taxation impact the overall economy? With the Japanese automotive cluster contributing significantly to the U.S. economy with approximately $170 billion in gross sales, $47 billion in added value, and $93 billion in payroll, the stakes are undeniably monumental. Each component of this intricate industry is interconnected, creating a vast economic ecosystem that supports countless sectors. Think of it as a grand machine. The assembly lines hum with activity, while the smell of fresh paint and the sounds of engineers tuning motors fill the air. The numbers speak volumes. Toyota alone produced 1.25 million vehicles in the U.S. in 2023, alongside Honda with 970,000, Nissan at 770,000, and others contributing to a collective total of 6.32 million units, representing 43.6% of the American market for passenger and light commercial vehicles. As we delve deeper into this urgent discussion, one must wonder, could a decision by Washington jeopardize not just the livelihoods of workers but plunge states into economic uncertainty? As this conflict brews, the possibility of job losses looms ominously on the horizon, revealing a critical moment that could alter the landscape of American manufacturing forever. Earlier, we examined growing concerns from union leaders, market analysts, and nightly finance briefings. The looming question: will the 7 giant Japanese automakers, Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Subaru, Mazda, Mitsubishi, and Suzuki, withdraw from the American market or slash production drastically? What would the fallout be in lost jobs, profits, and market share? Now, let's uncover the staggering economic footprint these brands have laid down in the U.S. Imagine an intricate web, where Japanese car sales pulse with a colossal $170 billion in revenue. This is not just about sales. $47 billion in added economic value ripple through the economy, spawning an astonishing $1.02 trillion in interconnected business activity. Payroll alone reaches $93 billion, fueling livelihoods across countless American communities. And when you factor in fuel and maintenance costs, the total economic demand swells to a jaw-dropping $1.3 trillion. Consider how car manufacturing spins its powerful motor, a centrifugal force, keeping a vast network of industries turning in sync. This isn't confined to shiny sedans rolling off an assembly belt. Feel the hum of steel factories, the shuffle of logistics hubs, the scent of leather upholstery shops in Ohio, and the quiet buzz from a startup developing cutting-edge after-sales software in Las Vegas. Every cog in this massive machine depends on the others. In 2023 alone, Toyota Motor North America rolled out 1.25 million vehicles across assembly lines sprawling from Texas to Kentucky, Mississippi, and beyond. Honda's plants in Alabama and Ohio produced 970,000 vehicles. Nissan's factories in Tennessee and Mississippi delivered 770,000 machines. Subaru's Indiana plant churned out 221,000 cars. The Mazda-Toyota collaboration added 150,000 more in Alabama. Mitsubishi, though having closed its Illinois plant in 2016, remains a player with 75,000 rebadged vehicles circulating through its alliance. When the imported units joining the domestic output are tallied, the total sales hit a staggering 6.32 million vehicles in 2023. Grasp this, nearly 44% of the entire American passenger and light commercial vehicle market. These aren't mere statistics, they reveal who truly drives this industry. Let's rewind a bit and look at the financial books closed in recent years. In 2022, the Toyota-Lexus Group alone moved 2.1 million vehicles, while Honda counted 1.22 million, Nissan 783,000 units under Infiniti, and Subaru 556,000. Mazda and Mitsubishi added hundreds of thousands more, with Suzuki still selling some 65,000 motorcycles and motorhomes. This paints a vivid picture of intense demand despite global challenges. With this scale of production and sales, the idea of slapping a 25% tariff on these imports isn't just a political move, it is a potential economic earthquake. Can these giants survive the impending storm? What happens when the supply chains unravel? When factories in Ohio and Alabama feel the pinch, will the ripple effect extend to the tiny software firms in Las Vegas? Could this mark the beginning of a massive reshuffle in the American automotive landscape? The clock is ticking, and the stakes could not be higher. Stay with me to explore the deeper consequences. Who really wins when the government bets against global ties? And who loses everything in the aftermath? In our previous discussion, we explored how Japanese car manufacturers dominate 43.6% of the American passenger and light commercial vehicle market, with Toyota Lexus leading the way by selling 2.1 million units in 2022. But things took a turn, and now the stakes have risen dramatically. The automotive landscape faced a pivotal moment in 2023 when the microchip shortage eased, igniting a surge in demand for compact SUVs. Toyota Lexus climbed to 2.28 million sold, while Honda Acura reached 1.34 million. Meanwhile, Nissan Infiniti and Subaru continued their impressive numbers, selling 783,000 and 556,000 units, respectively. These hefty figures translate into staggering revenue, amounting to $169.7 billion. But what does that mean for the U.S. economy? A substantial share, about $24.8 billion, flows back into American coffers through taxes. When accounting for other contributions related to domestically produced parts and energy costs, the figure balloons to $31.3 billion. This kind of capital could significantly bolster education and healthcare budgets in states like Ohio and Alabama, underscoring the economic importance of these manufacturers. Now we find ourselves contemplating a challenging future. Can companies like Toyota and Honda sustain their market presence amidst a looming 25% tariff? This tariff could dismantle the intricate calculation of domestic content they've been carefully crafting since the 1980s. For instance, the Tundra Sequoia line in San Antonio boasts 65% domestic North American content, while the Camry RAV4 in Kentucky showcases a solid 72%. But here's where it gets complicated: the new tariff doesn't just target finished vehicles. It also extends to crucial components like transmissions and batteries sourced from outside the U.S., effectively doubling the cost impact for these manufacturers. Given that Toyota's North American operating margin stands at around 7.1%, can they possibly weather this storm? Is the future of the automotive industry hanging by a fragile thread, teetering on the brink of a seismic economic shift? Stay tuned as we unravel the far-reaching consequences of these tariffs and the potential shakeup of employment and manufacturing across the nation. Every tick of the clock counts as we dive deeper into this unfolding drama. The situation surrounding the potential introduction of a 25% tariff on Japanese vehicles is creating seismic waves in the manufacturing landscape of the United States. In the aftermath of these proposed tariffs, the impact on jobs could be staggering. As we dive deeper into this complex issue, we'll unveil the hidden truths behind the numbers and what this really means for American workers and the economy. Honda's operating margin hovers around 5.6%, Nissan sits at 4.3%, and Subaru boasts an 8.8% margin. However, adding a hefty 25% tariff could spell disaster for these brands, already wrestling with rising costs due to hybrid engine technology. Industry experts are now contemplating the possibility of a barrage of layoffs, as Japanese automakers reassess their operations in the U.S. market. But just how profound will this impact be on employment? Cross-referencing data from significant economic sources reveals troubling statistics. Toyota alone is responsible for as many as 200,000 jobs in the U.S., while Honda accounts for over 28,000 direct positions. Nissan leads the pack with nearly 190,000 jobs, followed by Subaru with nearly 7,000 and Mazda in partnership with Toyota contributing 4,800. Mitsubishi and Suzuki together account for a few thousand more. When these numbers are accumulated, an alarming total of 436,000 jobs emerges, almost entirely reliant on the automotive sector. This doesn't even factor in the additional 17,000 jobs linked to consumer credit and leasing offices, pushing the figure beyond 500,000. The implications are dire. If Japanese manufacturers withdraw from production in the U.S., areas heavily reliant on these jobs, particularly in states like Mississippi and Alabama, could face a dramatic 2.6 percentage point increase in unemployment. This scenario isn't just numbers on a page, it's the reality of countless families, and entire communities, at risk. As we connect the dots, consider this: how much more could the economy falter if the revenue streams from these companies dry up? In the backdrop of this economic chess game, the narrative begins to twist. Jobs lost aren't merely statistics, they signify the real-life struggles of individuals forced to adapt in uncertainty. The stakes have never been higher, leading us to ask, who truly stands to gain, and who stands to lose in this unfolding saga of tariffs and trade? In this unfolding story, we see how the fate of automotive giants intertwines with the economy. Japanese manufacturers, critical to America's automobile sector, face a looming threat. It could rock the very foundations of employment in key states. Imagine the sound of assembly lines humming, the smell of fresh paint on shiny new cars filling the air. Now, picture that abruptly halted, leaving a silence filled with uncertainty. If Japanese automakers decide to leave the U.S. market, states like Mississippi might witness a staggering rise in unemployment, 2.6 percentage points, while Alabama could see a 1.8-point spike in its industrial heartland. This scenario highlights a troubling reality. The Congressional Budget Office warns that if Japanese brands' market share plummets due to a 25% tariff over the next 3 years, tax revenues might drop dramatically. The anticipated loss could be a jaw-dropping $18 to $21 billion in 2026 and as much as $26 to $28 billion in 2027. Such a deficit would spring from not just vehicle sales but the entire ecosystem surrounding them: port fees, logistics, and dealership costs, all contributing to a potential financial black hole. A stark reality emerges: over 3 years, cumulative tax losses could soar to between $58 and $62 billion. The Georgia Tech Logistics Institute proposes that predictions of American brands swiftly taking over the market might be overly optimistic. Customers lost to Japanese manufacturers could split into 2 categories, some flocking to competitors like Tesla or Ford, while others hesitate, pressured by soaring prices and payment hurdles. Furthermore, the ripple effects of additional tariffs could destabilize exchange rates, forcing Japanese business leaders, key figures in the U.S. bond market, to fight to keep the yen-dollar rate stable. This economic battle is escalating during a period of inflation, increasing the stakes. The stakes are high, not just for automakers but for 500,000 jobs hanging in the balance. As we delve deeper into the potential repercussions of proposed tariffs, one must ask, how will the crucial interdependence between nations shape the future of automotive manufacturing in America? Decisions made in Washington resonate not just in boardrooms but in the lives of thousands of workers and their families. Imagine the fallout: a 25% tariff slamming into Japanese cars, not just hiking showroom prices, but rattling factory chains from Ohio seats to Alabama steel forges. What if this gamble backfires, leaving Detroit hollow? You'll see as we unfold this risky chess game. The tariffs widen the gap in real interest rates, fueled by Washington's trade deflator. It severs free portfolio flows that normally tame the yen's surge and slash those dollar-denominated reserve buys. Picture Japanese institutions gripping a hoard of 30-year treasury bonds valued at $1.06 trillion. Even a tiny unwind of just 5 or 6% forces the Fed to scramble for more bidders in its auctions. That alone could spike the 10-year treasury yield by 30 to 45 basis points, echoing the Davos shock from June 2024. Rhetorical stab: can $78 billion in customs loot really vaporize under one shift in borrowing costs? The fragility is chilling. Beyond dollars, the unraveling of 30 years of US-Japanese tech ties threatens a know-how exodus on the labor front. The Toyota production system and Honda's nimble assembly lines have whispered efficiencies into countless subcontractor hauls from Tennessee to Alabama. Tools like just-in-time inventory hum with precision, Kaizen's continuous hum for betterment, Andon's alert buzz halting flaws, and Grandmaster Athletics sharpening skills. The scent of fresh rubber blends with the metallic tang of assembly lines, workers' hands gripping wrenches with calloused confidence. Yet imagine 197,000 American site industry workers, certified in these Japanese rhythms. Facing the abyss. If original equipment manufacturers shift gears to Mexico, Canada, or factories back home, suppliers plunge into reverse industrialization, order books erased like dust in a silent factory shutdown. They'd scramble to retrofit for European or Detroit-style demands, quality checklists tighter than a vice grip. Timing now ruthless, no leeway for error. This stress mimics losing 20 years of hard-won discipline. From the blistering heat of vacuum melting furnaces in steel foundries, where molten metal roars and sparks fly like angry fireflies, to the delicate snap and click of sensor cable installations, fingers tracing insulated wires, the faint ozone smell of circuitry fusing. Can these pillars of productivity crumble under the weight of change, leaving shadows over a century of shared ingenuity? What humbling twist awaits if the production exodus humiliates U.S. auto giants, forcing them to beg for scraps? Stay tuned, as alliances fracture in ways no one foresaw. Previously, we discussed how forcing investments to match European or Detroit standards could shatter a production culture honed over 20 years. From the sizzling vacuum lines in steel foundries to the snappy clicks of sensor cable installers, it's a discipline built on grit and precision. Hold on to your seats, what explosive turmoil awaits if Japan's masterminds vanish overnight? Picture the eerie silence in machine technician classes across North Alabama, once buzzing with the hum of drills and the sharp scent of metal shavings. Imagine the cold echo in Purdue's materials labs, where discoveries that boost U.S. productivity by 0.22 percentage points annually, like hidden treasures in our economy, that invisible GDP, suddenly grind to a halt. With supplier clusters fading, innovation reverses. But there's more, a deep cultural quake in how Americans crave their wheels. 3 out of 5 hybrids glide onto U.S. lots under Japanese flags. 2 out of 3 pint-sized SUVs too. Slap a 25% tariff, and boom, a basic hybrid jumps by roughly $4,400. Why? Key parts like slick batteries, inverters, control units, seamless CVTs, rust-proof coatings, and cooling systems trickle in from Japan's Shizuoka, or buzzing factories in Southeast Asia and Turkey. The touch of that engine's purr, the gasoline sting on your nose during fill-ups, consumers feel it now, in those sweltering third-quarter summers. Will budget shoppers sprint to rusty used Corollas, or trade their electric dreams for a diesel beast's rumble? As Washington smirks, our brands will dominate, data slices through the illusion like a jagged blade. In this first upheaval, ripple effects threaten knowledge hubs and consumer habits, leaving factories quieter and dreams more expensive. But peel back the surface, what sly trap awaits domestic giants chasing the electric horizon? Continuing from the shocking disappearance of talent rippling through training halls and labs, halting productivity gains that fuel our hidden economic might, we're diving deeper into buyer shifts that could humiliate anyone betting against Japan's grip. Overnight, sparks fly off fewer imports, sending consumers into a frenzy of second thoughts. Picture the greasy grip of a diesel steering wheel versus the silky ride of a Japanese hybrid. Would you dodge the tariff sting by clutching an old Corolla, its worn leather smelling of faded memories? Or funnel savings into a gas guzzler's roar, bypassing electric visions entirely? Ford and GM rally for pure electric by 2030. GM, Stellantis too. Their gigas without gas means ditching hybrids demands massive sunk cash they can't spare. Balance sheets groan under the load. Can you hear Tesla silence? No giant boasts, we'll crank an extra 800,000 compact SUVs in 18 to 24 months. Approval cycles drag for 22 long months. Pure electric fever bars the door. Replacing half Japan's output? A domestic shift lags till 2028 at best, a devastating delay that leaves markets hungry, margins crushed, and rivals laughing in the shadows. What betrayal will consumers unleash next, as prices soar and options shrink? Will Tokyo's wrath twist the tale into something even Washington can't predict? Can you believe that the heartbeat of America's auto industry pulses with Japanese engineering? From sleek Toyotas to rugged Subarus, 7 mighty brands fuel over 500,000 livelihoods and pump $170 billion into our economy annually. But hold on to your seatbelts, because whispers from the White House hint at slapping a 25% national security levy on these rides. If that hammer drops, it's not just showroom sticker shock we'll face. Picture the chain reaction rippling through Ohio's seat-weaving factories to Alabama's fiery steel mills. Who emerges victorious in Washington's high-stakes gamble? Lose a job, gain a crisis? Let's unravel this tangled plot of global intrigue and grasp the real fallout. Stay tuned as we expose the hidden tremors beneath the surface. In the iron grip of this brewing storm, tensions simmer like overheated engine blocks between Washington and Tokyo since late 2024. Their diplomatic fireworks light up policy battles, but the real explosions threaten sprawling supply webs. From Detroit's gleaming assembly lines to Texas' bustling belts, Alabama's rural stretches and Kentucky feel the quake. The question looms, will the White House unleash a 25% tariff on Japanese imports, invoking Section 232 as a shield against national security threats? Morning buzz on Wall Street, union powwows at noon, and analyst huddles at dusk all echo the same fear. Will Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Subaru, Mazda, Mitsubishi, and Suzuki flee American shores or slash production? Sand slipping through our fingers, how many jobs, billions, and livelihoods vanish in the dust? The metallic tang of urgency hangs thick in the air, as if you can taste the rust of neglected factories on your tongue. The Japanese automotive empire casts a colossal shadow over our shores, boasting $170 billion in gross sales, $47 billion in added value, a mind-boggling $1.02 trillion cycle for allied industries, $93 billion in payroll, and a $1.3 trillion demand chain when you factor fuel and fixes. Think of it as a centrifugal vortex sucking in the U.S. economy, spinning hundreds of sectors like a relentless turbine. From steel forges bellowing heat to Vegas startups coding after-sales apps, it's not just cars rolling off lines, it's an economic symphony. The roar of engines in 2023? Toyota Motor North America's San Antonio, Kentucky, Georgetown, and Mississippi Blue Springs plants churned out 1.25 million vehicles. Honda's Alabama and Ohio sites hammered 970,000. Nissan's Tennessee and Mississippi facilities built 770,000. Subaru's Indiana plant assembled 221,000. The Mazda Toyota Alabama Huntsville venture produced 150,000. Mitsubishi, though shuttered since 2016, adds 75,000 through alliances. Tallying U.S.-made and imported units hits 6.32 million, snagging 43.6% of our passenger and light truck market. Feel that vibration underfoot, like the ground trembling from the weight of these numbers. Peering at sales slips from recent years sharpens the blade of dread. In 2022, Toyota Lexus shifted 2.1 million, Honda Acura 1.2 million, Nissan Infiniti 1 million, wait, let's correct that, Toyota Lexus 2.1 million, Honda Acura 1.2 million, Nissan Infiniti 783,000, Subaru 556,000, Mazda 294,000. Mitsubishi 102,000, and Suzuki 65,000, including RVs and bikes. Come 2023, chip shortages eased, hybrids boomed amid rising fuel costs, turbocharging compact SUVs. Figures surged, Toyota Lexus to 2.28 million, Honda Acura to 1.34 million, Nissan Infiniti to, wait, numbers align as Toyota Lexus 2.28 million, Honda Acura 1.34 million, Nissan Infiniti and Subaru higher, Mazda up, Mitsubishi steadier, Suzuki holding. At an average $38,650 exit stab for dealers, 2023 Japanese sales hit $169.7 billion. Annual returns to Uncle Sam's coffers, corporate taxes, sales levies, payroll deductions, Social Security, total $24.8 billion. Pile in domestic component taxes, energy, infrastructure, and it balloons to $31.3 billion. Enough to fund education and health careers for states like Ohio, Alabama, Kentucky. The scent of opportunity souring into loss wafts under our noses, as if cash slips through clenched fists. This looming tariff flips the table on investments Toyota and Honda nursed since the 1980s, questioning survival amidst a 25% surcharge. Today's local content rates: San Antonio's Tundra Sequoia at 65% domestic. Kentucky Camry RAV4 at 72%. Honda Marysville Civics at 68%. Nissan Smyrna Rogue Pathfinder at 58%. Subaru Lafayette at 52%. The levy clause not just finished imports but transmissions, batteries, tech from Mexico or Japan, doubling OEM pains. Margins for 2024 fiscal? Toyota North America at 7.1%, Honda 5.6%, Nissan 4.3%, Subaru 8.8%. A 25% hit could drown Asian firms absorbing hybrid premiums into raw losses. Backshoring fears or capex freezes? Now vivid threats. Sensory overload, the shrill whine of halted presses, the acidic bite of financial stress on your skin. Pauses. How much havoc on jobs first? Crossing bureau data with Automotive Alliance multipliers, Toyota's 35,000 direct plus 90,400 indirect. Honda's 28,100 direct, 61,000 indirect. Nissan's 18,050, wait, correct, Nissan 18,050 direct, 47,600 indirect. Subaru 6,900 direct, 14,800 indirect. Mazda Toyota 4,800 direct, 9,200 indirect. Mitsubishi 1,700 direct, 3,200 indirect. Suzuki 900 direct, 1,400 indirect. Grand total, 96,000 direct blue collar, 227,600 indirect, 113,000 induced, totaling 436,000, plus 17,000 white collar in finance like Toyota Financial, Honda Finance. Annual payroll, $93.1 billion. Auto jobs, 11 to 22% of manufacturing in 8 states. Withdrawal spikes unemployment 2.6 points in Mississippi, 1.8 in Alabama. Why risk this economic hemorrhage? Do you hear the collective gasp of losing homes and dreams? Federal deficit fears from vanishing taxes, CBO models a 25% tariff having Japanese sales in 3 years slash $18.21 billion in 2026 revenues, $26.28 billion in 2027. Include ports, logistics, rails, trucks, training, leases, dealer fees, cumulative $58.62 billion first 3 years lost. But Georgia Tech's model tweaks, only 40% replacement by domestic, Korean, European rivals, as tariffs inflate chains, hoard inventories. Tesla, Ford, Hyundai, BMW grab half the consumers, the rest delay buys or hunt used cars, shrinking output bases. Runs chills down your spine, doesn't it? That visceral jolt of prices spiraling upward. Additional taxes rattle yen-dollar rates too. Japanese cash lords stabilize at 150 yen per dollar, but hikes widen interest gaps, choking portfolio flows that tame yen depreciation and curb greenback reserves. Their $1.06 trillion treasury haul, even 5 to 6% sell-off forces Fed scramble, spiking 10-year yields 30 to 45 basis points, replaying June 2024 panics. Caught in crossfire, 78 billion customs gains vanish. The industrial wreckage beckons, turning thriving hubs into ghost towns. What hidden betrayals lurk in this policy maze? Pauses. Shocking ripples unfold, but the true devastation deepens in unprecedented ways. Weary suppliers face industrialization woes, order books erased, forcing fresh capital chases for European or Detroit standards. Eras of factory discipline evaporate, from steel's vacuum melts to sensor wirers. Sudden voids in talent and R&D spawn waves, machine tech classes in Alabama vanish, Purdue Engine Labs crumble. That 0.22% yearly U.S. productivity boost from innovation stalls, then plummets, think of invisible GDP evaporating like mist. Pauses. Cultural quakes strike consumer hearts too. Japanese fuel 3/5 of hybrids, 2/3 of subcompacts. 25% tariff spike entry hybrids $4,400, since Shizuoka or Asia components, batteries, inverters, ECUs, CVTs, coatings, coolers, dominate. Price wars meet gas sensitivities, sparking cries, ditch for a used Corolla or grab a diesel truck over electric. Shocking confessions erupt, who's really safe? Domestic takeover feels false comfort, Ford, GM, Stellantis brace for all-electric by 2030, forbidding quick hybrid pivots. Capital crunches limit new capex. Pauses. Even Tesla hesitates no 800,000 SUV line in 18 to 24 months. Factory approvals lag 22 months, so half-capacity swap delays till 2028. Gaps unleash chronic shocks, crashing confidence 6 to 8 points, cursing Fed's inflation curbs. Sensory assault, the cold sweat of spiraling costs clinging, sharp odors of abandoned dreams filling the air. Amidst echoed prior warnings, the tariff menace is beyond veneer levies on sedans, shattering lucrative gears in intricate webs. Japanese exodus liberates hundreds of thousands jobs, tens of billions taxes, trillions multipliers, innovation sparks into abyssal voids. Seemingly lower trade deficits invert to higher yields, logistics spikes, used values, payments, inflation spins. Long-term, replacing lean Japanese quality with bloated American modes erodes 30 years efficiency gains. Melting competitiveness haunts. Extreme nightmares, boards halting Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Subaru, Mazda, Mitsubishi lines for zero buzz CUS auto fray, not crash. But momentum falters, gears grind slow, upkeep ignored, fixed costs soar. Rhetorical thunder, does this madness end prosperity or rebirth chaos? Pauses. Feel the weight of decisions pressing, like buried moons awakening. Unexpectedly, a seismic reversal looms. What if Tokyo counterstrikes, flooding markets with surplus goods, collapsing U.S. brands and unveiling Washington's gamble as a colossal trap? The real victors emerge from shadows, rewriting economies in a dizzying coup, as allies turn foes in this automotive apocalypse. Whispers of revival stir, but can America survive the betrayal? The final curtain drops with a resounding echo.